Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first meeting of the new term. As your new Sergeant at Arms, I officially call this meeting to order. To kick off this chapter, I want to celebrate our immediate past Sergeant at Arms, Tamara. She beautifully set the tone using poetry, leaving us with a wonderful SAA lyrics book. To honor that tradition of creating a lasting legacy, I am introducing a new concept that aligns directly with our identity as Masters of Evaluation. Our mission as Masters of Evaluation is to enhance how you evaluate, because we evaluate to elevate your speech and real-life feedback skills. By the end of this term, we will co-create a new evaluation codex of the Masters of Evaluation Club, featuring a nugget of evaluation advice from each of you. And now, Toastmasters and guests, to keep our digital room running smoothly, please keep your microphone off when not speaking, and keep your camera on for active visual feedback. And with immense respect for our immediate past President Vicky Trabosh, please help me welcome our new club president, Victoria James. Victoria.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms, Kate Meaun. Fellow Masters of Evaluation and guests. I've only been a member of this club for about a year, and I bet most of you have no idea the pivotal role you've played in what I think is going to be one of the bigger plot twists of my story. Now, rest assured, you'll get the full 5 to 7 minute speech on that. It's going to be in Pixar format because Michael Schaefer taught me that. It's going to include anaphora, triads, and epistrophe because Pat Caslin taught me that. And it's going to end with a concise yet inspiring call to action because Ray Sweeney taught me that. These are pieces of what I have been affectionately referring to as the MOE method. It's how we evaluate to elevate. It works, and we're all here for it. So when Vicky asked me if I'd consider running for president, I said, no. I can't do that. But I agreed to discuss it with her, because that's kind of what Toastmasters do, right? I asked Vicky, why me? I'm a new member, I'm new to Toastmasters. What business do I have running this club? And Vicky just answered me, directly and truthfully, the way she always does. And so it clicked. Oh, yeah, I can lead the club. But what I can't do is be Vicky. She sets a standard as a speaker, a leader, mentor, and person that I know I'm going to be reaching toward for a long time. Now, Vicky is in New Jersey renewing her wedding vows this week, so she couldn't be with us, but I bet she'll be watching the video. So, dear Vicky, thank you for building this club. Thank you for bringing us all together. Thank you for leading us to Smedley Distinguished this year. I am honored to serve as your president for 2026-2027 year. And I have 3 goals, which I'll share with you now. The first one is to really get to the heart of this MOE method. How do we evaluate to elevate? Does our method work? Can we measure it? Can we teach it to our new members and our guests? Second, I want to make sure we tend the sanctuary. What we do here takes a lot of courage, Telling the truth takes courage. Hearing the truth takes courage. And I think that it's not so much about creating a safe space, although it is that, but it's a safe enough space to take the risks so that we can keep getting to where we want to go. Third, I want to keep things spicy, just the way they are. So we're experimenting with some new things, with the board, and we'll get back to you more on that later. I have a very strong leadership team, so I want to take a moment of gratitude for Kate Meaun, Kathy Choice, John White, Sandra Savage, Tamara Evans, and our immediate past president, Vicki Trabosh. We all have busy lives, and contributing to this club is a considerable offering. I do have one small amount of business that I want to make sure I take care of. I received a message from Tamara. Sadly, she has a scheduling conflict, and she's not going to be as reliably attending meetings as in the past. So she has graciously offered to step down from the role of VPM so that whoever wants it can get full credit for it. So the VPM role is open. If you have any interest whatsoever, we're offering real support. You'll have me, Sandra, and Vicki as mentors, and I promise we're going to make it worth your while. But if you just have other ways you want to help, ideas, even if you have problems, criticisms, my door is open, and I mean that. I'm looking forward to getting to know each of you personally. You're going to hear from me. And with that, I want to make sure we say hello to our guests. Maureen, could you come off mute and introduce yourself? Let us know where you're from.
Hi, I'm Maureen from New Zealand, but I have been here quite numerous times over the summertime in New Zealand. It's just been a bit harder in winter because it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's been nice to come back for a day. Been awake early in the morning.
Thank you, Maureen. It's great to see you. Arina, please come off mute.
Yes, hi to everyone. I live in Poland and I already visited your club once. It was in May, and I still remember very well some speeches. I remember that Sandra had a Q&A session, and it was very interesting video of different speakers. And also there was a humorous speech about dating life. It was a quite enjoyable meeting. That's why I decided to come back.
That's got to be John White.
Oh yeah, probably him, but I don't remember the name.
Awesome. Thank you, Arina. Cheryl, what brings you to our club?
As you say, I'm Cheryl Latson, and I've been a Toastmaster for about 12 years, I think. And I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I should have led with that. This year, I'm the president of my club in Georgia, and I have challenged all of our members to visit other clubs so that they can get used to speaking, outside the comfort zone. So I decided to lead by example and join you all today for your meeting. I'm happy to be here, and looking forward to learning everything I can. Thanks.
We are so happy to have you all here. We have a full agenda today, and we're going to try to end close to on time. So let's get this party started. I turn the meeting now over to Madam Toastmaster, Kate Meaun.
Thank you, Madam President, and welcome everyone again. So I will be the Toastmaster of the morning of the day, and I will be inviting people who took the roles. But before that, I would like to mention that the theme for this meeting is enhance. So I would like us to enhance, to embed this concept in role descriptions and role reports by communicating more while speaking less. That means we are an advanced club presenting what's most important from the role, and then on presenting the reports, picking something that was outstanding and also something that will help us to enhance our skills in the future. So now I will invite John White, the general evaluator, to introduce his role. John, please.
Yes, thank you very much. As indicated, I will be general evaluator. One of the hallmarks of Master of Evaluation, as already discussed, is the quality of our evaluations. And at the end, we will have evaluations of the prepared speakers. We'll have a function area report, and we'll even hear feedback of our table topics. So look forward to talking to you later in the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. And now I will invite John Graham to introduce his role as Zoom Master. How Zoom will work today.
Well, I'm having a difficulty enhancing the meeting right now, but that's my objective, is to enhance us so that we have an opportunity to see both speakers and evaluators in the same screen. So, and I'll also be trying to do that with our SNAP evaluations and with our major evaluations at the end. So each speaker, each evaluator, each SNAP evaluation, I hope to put on screen for us. So thank you.
Thank you, John. That's fantastic. And now let's move to our grammarian today, Victoria James. Victoria, so please introduce the word of the day, the meaning, and the usage if you have it. So please.
I am putting our word of the day in the chat right now. As your grammarian, I'm going to be keeping track of your usage of the word of the day. Today's word of the day is burnish. It's a verb. It means polish and make shiny. Sorry, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. Very interesting word. So I'll try to burnish my preparation and do the best that I can in my role as Toastmaster. Okay, so next is our timer. Trude, please present us how the timing will work.
Good morning, Toastmasters and guests. The timing today would be hopefully a polished one. We have speakers. I believe your time is 5 to 7 minutes. And if your timing is within 5 to 7 minutes, I would show at 6 minutes your green sign. Excuse me. At 5 minutes, you're green. And at 6 minutes, the yellow. And at 7 minutes, the red. And you can also see my hands up in the top corner here. I hope to keep it there. If it doesn't show, I'll make sure that it's back up there, but sometimes it lowers its hands without me asking it to do so. So I have to pay attention to that. Now for our evaluations, which are the SNAP evaluations, it goes from 1 to 2 minutes. Is that correct? What I'm saying?
1 minute for SNAP evaluation.
And for the initial, when one
Table topics 1 to 2.
Table topic 1 to 2, right. Mm-hmm. So for table topic, I will give, at 1 minute, I give green, 1.5, I give yellow, and at 2 minutes, I give red. And on the table topic, you have a SNAP evaluation also, and that is 1 minute. I don't show the color until you reach the 1 minute and I show red. And that's mean you're there. Okay. And for the evaluators, it goes for 3 minutes. So at 1 minute, I show green. At 2 minutes, I show yellow. And at 3 minutes, I give red. The general evaluation is equivalent to that. I believe this is what I have, and I will give my results at the end of the meeting. I'm not good at putting it in the chat, so you'll have to hear me giving it to you. Back to you, and hopefully I do it very polished. Thank you.
Thank you, Trudy. Timing is a really challenging job just to catch the timing for everyone, so thank you so much for that. So we are all set. And now we can move to our speaking section. And I will invite our first evaluator that will introduce the first speaker. So our first evaluator is Brad Stuffer.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, and good morning, good day. Happy Friday, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Brad Stoffer. I will be evaluating Mike Zhang. Mike is working the dynamic leadership dynamic leadership path. He's in level 4. And as you heard, his speech today is 5 to 7 minutes. His project is Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. Mike believes that sometimes the most important lessons don't come from success. They begin with a moment we'd rather forget. Please join me in welcoming Mike Zhang with his speech, Another Try.
Standing in the front of a physics lab and looking at the long line of students waiting to ask me questions. At that moment, I'm thinking, this is a disaster. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. It's September 2013. I have just arrived in Canada from China to do my master's degree in physics. Everything is new. A new country, a new culture, new language, and a new challenge. Part of my scholarship requires me to teach first-year physics labs. Teaching, that terrifies me. I never know how to teach, never taught before. I don't know if I can do it in my own language, not alone in English. But I want to do well. So I sit through the lab introduction by my supervisor, Alex. I take pages of notes, and then went back home and start to write out an entire lab introduction word for word. Not just key ideas, not just the bullet points, but the full script word for word. And I spent hours and hours and hours memorizing it. I'm thinking, if I get panicked on the day of, at least I have a full script to read. That's my safety net. The day finally arrives. I'm walking into this lab room and looking around. 24 19-year-olds are staring at me. 24 pairs of eyes. That sends a chill in my back, and I freeze. And so does my brain. Then I remember my script, my safety net. Where's my script? I look at my pocket. It's not there. The backpack. It's not there. And maybe under this lab manual. It's not there. It's gone. Wonderful. My safety net has disappeared even before I even begin. Sweat pours down my face. I have no other option than just lecture from memory. And somehow I get through the introduction and ask, any questions? Dead silence. In my head, I'm celebrating. Yes, I made it. They understood everything. Then they'd go and begin their experiment. 10 minutes later, one student comes up to me and says, Mike, I don't understand this step. Can you explain? Then another student, Mike, which formula do we use? Then another student, then another student. Soon there's a line forming in front of me of students waiting to ask for help. Some questions are in the lab manual. They're supposed to read the manual, but some questions reveal something I forgot to mention. And some are even the things that assume to be obvious, but they are not. As I'm looking at the long line of students, I'm not thinking about teaching anymore. I'm thinking about myself. Because every question feels less like a question now. They feel more like a proof, the proof that I'm not supposed to be here. Halfway through the lab, my lab supervisor, Alex, stops by. He is in his 60s, very calm, medium build, and he gives us vibes kind of like a John White. But I don't know if John White, if you're in your 60s, but you know, similar. And and he asked me, Mike, everything's okay? Oh man, and that moment I want to bury my face in his shoulder and cry. But as you know, men don't cry. So I force a smile and says, yeah, everything's good, but let me talk to you after the lab, okay? Of course. And he quietly walks away. Now the lab finally ends. Students pack up and leave. And I am making my way to Alex's office. But I keep my head down and eyes on the floor because every laughter I hear in the hallway feels like it's about me and my poor teaching. I slip into Alex's office and close the door. Alex, I'm quitting. Well, Alex doesn't panic. So what happened? This is your first time teaching, right? Yeah. Then I tell him everything. The missing script, the long line of students, and the endless questions. And Alex looks at me straight into the eyes and says, one bad lab doesn't make you a bad teacher. And don't judge yourself by your first attempt. And he goes over to the board and picks up a marker and asks, so what question did they ask? Okay, there's one. And another one. Okay, another question. Okay, sure. Anything else? Okay. Then soon the board is full. And he turns around and says, Mike, you know, next Friday you're going to teach the exact same lab to another group of students, and this is exactly what you teach. Huh. Yeah, that makes sense. As our conversation unfolds, my self-doubt starts turning to an action plan, a lesson plan. 1 week later, before I have the students walk into the lab room, I have already things written down on the board. I reorganize my introduction, and I answer questions before they are asked. And guess what? There is no line. Students just working on their own quietly, and I actually have time to sit down and enjoy myself. And I remember sitting there and looking at the students working on their own and thinking, wow, teaching is not that bad, eh? Now, friends, now I teach physics for a living. Sometimes students come up to me and says, I'm a natural teacher. They would never see the guy who will write out the entire lab introduction word for word. And without Alex, I would have quit right after that first teaching. So he helped me understand something. He burnished my teaching, and he also helped me understand that I'm worth another try. Don't judge yourself by your first attempt. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mike. And Trudy, would you please set a timer of 1 minute so that we can give feedback to Mike?
Yeah, 1 minute up.
Thank you, Trudy. And now let's move to our second speaker and second evaluator. And the evaluator is Pat Caslin. And Pat Caslin will evaluate Sandra. Pat?
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Sandra is on the visionary communication path. This is writing a speech with purpose, 5 to 7 minute speech. And it's a story about a book which starts with an idea, grows through research and writing, and finds its audience through conversations and connections. And this is a journey that Sandra is on, and she's promoting her upcoming novel, Cadence. So today we have the opportunity to hear the story behind Cadence. It's through Samuel Caitlin's journey. Cadence explores acceptance, resilience, and the power of discovering value where others see limitations. Sandra Savage, Cadence, Sandra Savage.
At first, you might think that Cadence is a war story. However, at its core, it is not. Sure, There are battles, there's bullies, poverty, hardship, and even a prisoner of war camp in North Korea. And all of these are based on real life experiences. But all of those items are simply the circumstances that surround a much more personal journey. Cadence is a story about a young man who spends most of his life feeling unheard. He grows up struggling on a farm in Wisconsin during the 40s, a time when life offered few choices or chance. He and his pa work the farm and do their best to survive, but even though Samuel works extra hard and does more than what's expected of him, he also has to follow the teachings of the Lutheran Church and stay the heck out of trouble. Yet he carries an unfortunate burden that he cannot control or fix: a severe stutter. Every conversation is a challenge. He stumbles over words that carry irregular cadence, rhythm of their own. And most of the time, before he can finish a sentence, people often finish it for him. They grow impatient. They look away. They assume that because he struggles to speak, he must be slow or has nothing worth saying. As a result, Samuel realizes a painful truth. People are making decisions about him before they have a chance to get to know him. What they fail to see is a bright, determined young man with a gift for mechanics, an instinct for solving problems, and he notices lots of details that others miss. He works on even when others would quit. But despite all this constant discouragement, he refuses to let the world define him. Then, one day, while scavenging for scrap metal on abandoned farms, he discovers an old Morse code set. Curious as ever, he becomes fascinated with it and spends countless valuable hours making repairs and burnishing it to a beautiful gold, and then teaching himself Morse code. For the first time, communication feels different. The dots and dashes don't interrupt him, rush him, or judge him. What begins as a hobby becomes a refuge. He learns to express himself quietly, to release his frustrations in dots and dashes that sneak by without being deciphered, eloquent without words that just dance and provide cadence in his head. While his tits and dots entertain him, they do not seem to be of any use and remain to the outside world as insignificant. But how often does life prepare us for challenges long before we recognize them? When financial pressures threaten to take away the family farm, Samuel becomes desperate and makes a decision to get involved in making and running of illegal moonshine. One night, coming back from out of state, he gets caught. Standing before the judge, he's given a choice: jail or sale. Samuel chooses the Navy. At first, it's not so bad. He even spends his 17th birthday on shore leave just off the beautiful Pacific Islands. But then, a few days later, on June 25, 1950, President Truman orders U.S. Air and Sea Forces to go and aid South Korea against South Korea. In a late-night mission to bring parts to repair communication radios on shore at Incheon, Samuel is captured and is marched to a prisoner of war camp in North Korea. The conditions are brutal. The winters are cold. The future is uncertain. Prisoners are isolated from each other and forbidden to speak. No communication at all. Silence is used against them. Most of the men are focusing, though, on just surviving one day at a time. Then Samuel discovers something remarkable. Remember that Morse code? He finds out that he can tap on a pipe, send a message through a wall. all through a sequence of dots and dashes. One prisoner hears each other, then another, and then they want Samuel to teach them how to communicate. Soon information begins moving through the camp. News is shared, encouragement blossoms, and hope expands. Men who have never met each other begin supporting each other through a hidden network of communication. And at the center of it all is Samuel, a young man who spent his life struggling to be understood, becomes a person others use to stay connected. He's a man who was previously overlooked, and now he is relied upon. For the first time, people see him not for what he lacks, but for what he contributes. And Samuel realizes it too. He comes to understand that his value should never have been determined by the smoothness of his speech. The courage, intelligence, loyalty, and resilience that carried him through hard times had always been there, but the war brought them to the forefront. They revealed them. While the world had been mocking his voice, the war revealed it. That is the heart of Cadence. And its lessons extend far beyond a prisoner of war camp in North Korea. It extends way beyond Samuel. It applies to everyone. People are often overlooked just because of a limitation, circumstance, or first impression. Yet some of the greatest contributions come from those who are underestimated, people who are ignored, people who are not given a chance to be heard. When was the last time you felt heard? Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. And Trudy, please set a timer of 1 minute so that we can give a feedback to Sandra's speech. Trudy, would you please present the report for speakers, please? Speakers' time.
Speaker was Mike Zong, and his timing was 7 minutes, 7:30, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. The second speaker, Sandra Savage, her timing was 7 minutes and 10 seconds.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Trudy. And now I will hand over to John, our general evaluator, to introduce the evaluators. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped through over table topics. Let's move to table topics now. So I invite Jack Kaminsky for running table topics. And Jack, we have a few spare minutes just because we didn't have the third speaker. So you're welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Table topics is the best way to practice thinking and speaking on your feet. In our case, thinking and speaking sitting down. In other words, impromptu speaking. I will attempt to burnish my reputation as a table topics master by giving you some table topics questions. I would like everyone to respond 1 to 2 minutes, minimum 1 minute, and afterwards we are going to have a snap evaluation where you'll be able to burnish the speaker's response by giving an impression and a suggestion as to how they could improve their answer. Tonight or today, table topics is going to be based on nursery rhymes. You are a very famous attorney, and you will decide whether you want to represent the plaintiff or the defendant, and tell us why. Okay. So the first person I'm going to call is Victoria. Victoria, can you hear
Is
me?
there a particular nursery rhyme I'm responding to?
Yes, you are. And I'm going to tell you the nursery rhyme. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Jack is suing Jill for pushing him and causing bodily harm.
Mhm.
Who, as an attorney, do you want to represent and why?
Thank you, Table Topics Master, for this question. I'm going to have to go with Jill on this one. Jill stands accused of a serious crime resulting in bodily injury. Not only is this a potential criminal charge that could come back to haunt her, he's coming at her with damages. Okay. Jack is seeking $2.5 million for bodily injuries allegedly sustained because Jill gave him a little push at the top of a hill. I mean, all I've got to say about that is, come on, Jack. Come on, Jack. I mean, really? You think a jury's going to accept that? You think a jury's going to look at you and look at all 3 feet 2 inches of Jill and believe that she was the aggressor? I'm not taking risks like that. My bank account depends on me making the right choice here, and clearly it's Jill. Thank you. Table Topics Master, back to you.
Thank you, Victoria. Kathy, I would like you to do a snap evaluation of Victoria's response. Kathy Choice.
Thank you so very much for choosing me to be able to burnish my evaluation skills. Victoria, what a great response. Because in addition to having the question, you also gave us more content to be able to look at the situation from. What I would have liked to have heard from the Jill perspective is how men do not take responsibility for their actions and would always like to choose or suggest that women are responsible for their inability to assume their own level of responsibility. Otherwise, I will say your response to this question was great because you had a response to it. And when I heard the question, all I knew was, oh my God, I'm so glad I was not chosen for that question.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Trudy, as timer, could you please raise your hand so that we could see you in the left corner?
Didn't realize my hands was down, and so many things you have to do with the snap evaluations. Where's my hand? Right. Can you see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Brad. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get her poor dog a bone. But when she got there, the cupboards were bare, so the poor dog had none. Old Mother Hubbard is suing the government to get into the SNAP food stamp program. Who do you want to represent and why?
Thank you for that situation, Mr. Table Topics Master. I think the innocent participant here is the dog. And we have the government involved and Mother Hubbard. We know she's had a difficult life. And we also know that the SNAP program doesn't always meet all the needs. So I want to represent the dog, Doug. Doug has been living with Mother Hubbard for a long time, and he's seen her have a tough life. And unfortunately, it's impacted his life. His social life is minimal. He lacks education because she couldn't afford to educate him. He hasn't been to behavior school. He hasn't learned to fetch. He's pretty inactive and doesn't know a lot of fellow canines. So I would actually come in like a social worker, perhaps, and check in with Doug. Doug needs something more that Mother Hubbard just cannot provide, and a government program will just put him into a system. I'm looking at freeing Doug through outside animal safety and social associations and give him a new life. That is going to change his life. It's going to free up Mother Hubbard, and maybe she could grow geraniums, but not keep someone as special as Doug. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brad. Pat, could you please give an evaluation of Brad's answer?
Absolutely. I think that Brad burnished this answer up to be doggone brilliant in switching the question away from the obvious to the tertiary. And the dog is a tertiary participant in this, because he's the one that didn't get the bone. So I thought, Brad, great job. Lovely switch, and, beautifully burnished up. And as I said, doggone super. Well done.
Very good. Thank you, Pat. Kate, are you ready?
I said, I don't know. So let's see.
Okay. Three blind mice, see how they run, see how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a sight in your life as three blind mice? The mice are suing the farmer's wife for assault and attempted murder. Who do you want to represent and why?
So should I be the devil's attorney? Should I represent humans or should I represent mice? It's very, very interesting, because all the time you have to look at that from those involved. So to be the devil's on the devil's part, I will take the mice's part. And they have their right to live, and they have their right to have food. And if something happened and they stole something from their farmer's wife, they were legitimate in their world. So that's why I would defend them. And generally, I'm speaking that in the case I understood what is my task. So to wrap up that, I would say that I will be on the mice's side. They have the right to live, and they have the right to have food on their table. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Kate. Venice Rowe, could you please give a 1-minute Snap evaluation of Kate's answer.
Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you, Kate. I really like the way you took that story of the free blind man because you brought in the element of mouse rights, just like how we have human rights, mouse rights. And the fact that they were blind and they have the right to survival, you took it on that level, personalizing it, putting a human element on it, make it relatable to us because if we were a blind person, we would need to be surviving. So well done on that. I, however, felt that when you were thinking through the process, you brought a little bit of a humor in there, which is great, which is great. But this is a serious matter. You know, it's blind men, blind mice being caught out in the situation. So it would be encouraging to have a little bit of a sympathy with the blind mouse in this situation where they were, caught out having injustice in their mouse world. But well done for bringing that element of showing a little bit of grace and compassion for them. Well done.
Very good. Thank you, Venice. Cheryl, are you ready?
Yes.
Great. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Humpty Dumpty is suing the construction company for shabby construction. Who do you want to represent and why?
Thank you so much for that question. I would represent the construction company because Humpty Dumpty knew that he should not have been on that wall in the first place. There was a sign that said, "This wall is not for eggs, so please do not sit on it." But Humpty sat on it anyway, even though I'm sure he read the sign. So I would not give him that pass that he cracked himself all the pieces, because had he not sat on that wall, he would be a whole egg, and we probably could have put him in some water and boiled him and had a great breakfast. But for me, the construction company will win this case because Humpty was trespassing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. David, would you give a 1-minute snap evaluation of?
I admired Cheryl having a go at this. She does not have a lot of experience, and I think this is her first occasion with us. But I admired the way she spoke up briskly and firmly, even though I was not quite sure what direction she was going to take. And perhaps that would be my first recommendation, is actually that she makes it a little clearer what direction she's going to take us in. The second suggestion would be to colour her language with a little more vocal variety. But I loved the conclusion and the firm way she finished. So a good start with us, and we'd love to see you back, Cheryl.
Thank you very much, David. Sandra, are you ready? Unmute.
Yes, sir.
Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it in the pot 9 days old. 6 people got ptomaine poisoning and now have a class action suit. Who do you want to represent?
The people who, well, you know what? The people who left the food in the pot for 9 days are at fault. And of course, you picked on a chef who has a burr about food safety. So this just defies all the rules. And well, where's the health inspector in all of this? How often are they visiting this restaurant to make sure that the employees know how to handle the food correctly, bring it back up to temperature? I mean, I could go on about food safety. But then again, those of us who've taken a bite of food and you know it's bad, are you going to take another bite? No, you're going to spit it out. So the restaurant is at fault, but let's just have some common sense, shall we?
Thank you very much, Sandra. Mike, would you please give a 1-minute evaluation of Sandra's answer?
Sure, thank you. I'm muted. No, I'm on mute. Okay. So, hi, Sandra, thank you so much for that response. And I just want to congratulate everyone who is able to respond in this type of situation with 1 to 2 minutes. I don't know if I could do it myself, but like a quick response really sort of stand out to me. Sandra, you talk about the different aspects of the situation. You're not just standing behind one aspect. You're also talking about the common sense as well, and you ended with a question. I thought that was very effective to really get us thinking and get us engaged. So, very effective job. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you for your answer. Ornia, did I say that correctly?
Rina.
Okay. Are you ready?
So
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread, then whipped them all soundly and put them to bed. The children are suing their old mother for child abuse. Who do you want to represent and why?
I think that I would represent children, because if that woman had so many children and she could not take care of them properly, they are right that there was child abuse. And it happens in every country that people can overestimate their ability in everything. For example, in taking care of family or in any other situations. And children, of course, they deserve something better, some good life, attention, not only bread and water, but normal food, development. And children are always a future of every country and every nation. That's why they deserve to have a better life. And that's why it would be good to represent someone who is growing, who will contribute to the country. And some people can be irresponsible, not only with kids, but also with pets, expecting other people to take care of them while they are away. But honestly, it was quite a difficult question.
Well,
I think it will be all from my part for today.
I'm glad you were able to answer it. Trudy, could you
Yes,
please
I
give
can
your
hear you.
response? A 1 minute?
And yes, I heard you, and I love the direction that Orina took it. She took it in a more global direction where it's not only the matter with the children, but even animals are sometimes left to others to look after while the owners are irresponsible, I would say. So she got us thinking in a more broader sense. And I love that part. In order not to stick just to the script of in her environment with parents, she expanded it. And that's what I loved about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trudy. I want to thank you all for burnishing the answers and doing such a great job in response to the questions that I asked. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much,
Or
Jack, for
Madam
such an
Toastmaster. I'm sorry.
for such an interesting table topics session. And thank you so much for following the agenda. I really appreciate that. And now we have so I asked for the speakers timing a little bit earlier, and now we can move to the evaluation section. And I'm handing over to our general evaluator, John White.
Great, thank you. Trudy, you were going to ask the question. Maybe you just post the timing for the...
No, I would answer the question because posting the timing is too much for me. I'm not quick at the mark in putting it in the chat. So I will tell you, I have the marks right here. The timing right here. Victoria, 1.6. The quick evaluation, the snap one was Kathy Choice, 115. So Victoria, 106. Kathy Choice, 115. Brad, or the dog, is 154. And Pat Caslin, I believe that was 21 seconds. He was very quick. Kate Meaun, I don't know if I pronounce it right, but she had the mice, 117, and Venice was 101. And Cheryl was 109, and David was 55 seconds. Sandra was, the snap was 55, and Mike was 10 seconds. It was very quick. And Orina, I believe that's the name, 148. And Maureen became Trudy, that's me, was 60 seconds.
Great, thank you very much. We're now going to go to the prepared or the evaluations. We talked about the timing being 2 to 3 minutes, so we don't have to go over that again. It's my pleasure to turn the evaluation over to distinguished Toastmaster Brad Stauffer, who will be evaluating Michael Jong. Brad?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and hello again, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Mike. Mike, thank you for bringing us this intriguing and interesting personal story that definitely had a purpose and tied into your project of introduction into mentoring. I feel you achieved the goal of the project and left us inspired about this experience that you had earlier in your life. Your opening brought us right into the story. You brought us right into the scene, and I feel leaving us intrigued and wanting more. At least that's how I felt. I'm not familiar with your speaking background, but when I experienced you visually and heard you, I was instantly sent back to our pandemic-driven online contest season. I immediately felt that this speech was a winning contest speech. It gave me that feeling from the very beginning. Great job on standing for this speech. I don't know if that's a regular practice, but good job doing that. You had good gestures right out of the gate. Your profile from about your waist up was perfect. The camera blockage for this. Your voice was clear, you had great energy, and you had good eye contact, especially there in the opening part. I think your story overall was well organized and it flowed, and it ended on purpose. Your standout moment for me was when you walked into that room of 24, 19-year-olds. your description just it gave me an instant visual. And I like how you froze in fear. With that, you added a great pause, and then you shifted you shifted your energy after that. I think that was a great combination of speaking techniques right there in that moment. I think you could have had another similar moment like that when you went to Alex and told him that you quit. That interaction there, I think you could have used the same shift in energy, great pause. You could have created a second moment like that, but your 19-year-old classroom moment, I thought was a good peak. You used a lot of gestures from the mid to the end part, and I think there was a little over gesturing where you were losing eye contact with us. There's a little confusion from your left and right and who was doing what. So I would really nail that more. So if you're talking to Alex, he's always here, and the classroom's always here, the questions are always here or here. You really lost eye contact during that part. So overall, I would say a little less over gesturing, use more contact, use more descriptives, like Alex looked at me directly and said, I looked directly into his eyes and said, I quit. Use more descriptive phrases while you're telling us more of the story instead of some of those gestures, like I'm doing now, throwaway gestures. Overall, I'd like your ending. I think you could have landed it a little tighter. Throw in the pause, your pacing, your energy. Great story overall. You definitely landed on purpose. And I really enjoyed the speech. Good job, Mike.
Well done, Brad. Thank you for that. I'm sure Mike has benefited from it. Mike, anything stand out on that feedback that was beneficial to you? You want to comment on?
Oh yeah, just like to thanks for the encouragement and for those of you who sent me a private chat, also thank you for the encouragement. And yeah, so I start to see that, because till the end of the speech, I know I was running out of time, so I sort of speed up the later part of it. So that's why you see the little bit of a like over gesturing and not enough pause at the very end to make the message land better. So I'll work on timing. I think that plays a major role in it. But thank you for pointing that out.
Great. Wonderful. We're now moving on to our second evaluation. Distinguished Toastmaster Pat Caslin will be evaluating another distinguished Toastmaster, Sandra Savage. Pat?
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. And thank you very much, Sandra. Sandra, you are a distinguished Toastmaster, and so I have a couple of things to say about your speech. First, about your book, brilliant story, brilliant title. The title Cadence caught the essence of the disability in terms of the ability to pronounce the words with a particular cadence and how the Morse code overcame that. I thought the story was fabulous. How would I burnish this story or this speech to really bring home the things that you want to bring home in this? And I think the thing that you want to bring home is this story about what I would call a foundational phrase. So I evaluate speeches on this. Does it have a purpose? Is the first thing I asked. Yes, it did have a purpose. Was the purpose clear? Very clear to me about how you turn disability to good. Did you use a foundational phrase, something that a short phrase, maybe less than 10 words that we could remember, that brought your purpose home, that you said again and again through the speech or repeated? Something like, it's not what you lack, it's what you contribute. That's important. Not what you lack, what you contribute. That, to me, was the essence of this story. And I think if you had created a foundational phrase like that to wrap your story around, your story will become more powerful. That would have made it memorable. The second question was, could I relate to this story? And in some ways, I could relate to it, but it could have been more relatable for me. And I think it could have been more relatable if you hadn't read it. You wrote the book. You know the essence of what this is about. You know the critical things that you want to bring out. Why read it? Reading it is to give it to somebody that's not present to understand it. So I think if you had told the story in a natural way, in your own words, this story would have lifted us. We would have been brought into it. We would have understood it so much better. So think about bringing some natural tension into this story, maybe leaving out some of the detail, but bringing the natural tension of how this man came to not being able to communicate to becoming the most important communicator in the prisoner of war camp. So then how would I a couple of small points on the opening. You said you started off with you might think that this book is about. Well, I'm thinking, I have no idea what this book is about. How would I think any other differently? So think about your audience. You might think this book is about because you wrote it. We have no idea what the book is about. So just think about that. And your closing, I thought, was just a little labored because it didn't have that foundational phrase that allowed you to succinctly close the speech with a powerful message. Now, you asked me to look at vocal variety and pacing. And again, because you were reading the speech, your pacing wasn't great. There weren't enough pauses, and the vocal variety wasn't there. So think about how do you improve this speech. I thought fabulous story, great title, brilliant choice, but how do you burnish this to be something that is much more powerful? I think in your own words, foundational phrase, and bring out the main points and think about the opening and the closing succinctly. But great job. Well done. Thank you, Sandra.
And
Thank you, Pat.
thank you, Pat. Sandra, would you like to share with us the value that Pat's evaluation or provided you? Things that you're reflecting on?
Yes, and I am so pleased and thrilled that Pat was my evaluator. I needed someone who was going to tell me the truth. And I was not allowed to use slides, according to Vicky, but he's totally correct. I don't have a good foundational phrase. I was not happy with opening with a negative. I was concerned about that. And by the way, the book has not been written yet. So this is me kind of trying out its legs to see if it has any interest in it. I've written maybe a quarter of it. And I agree. I did read it. I was not sure about giving something that wasn't about pathways or Toastmasters. I haven't given a speech outside of the comfort zone for a while. So this is me getting out of my comfort zone. And I appreciate having Pat as my evaluator because I know he would find exactly what I need to do to make this a better speech and to polish it, burnish it from here. Thank you.
Thank you. And the evaluators burnished, and then they burnished, and then they burnished. I guess what I'm getting at, Trudy, is I think they went beyond 2 to 3 minutes. Timers report, please.
They went beyond 2 to 3 minutes, but weren't that burnishing to show what was needed. Now, for Mike, Brad evaluated Mike. I enjoyed both evaluations. Brad was 4 minutes and 12 seconds. And for Pat Caslin, who evaluated Sandra, he was 3 minutes and 32 seconds. I love the questions he posed.
Yes.
Was 3 minutes, was all burnishing.
It was time well
you.
spent, indeed.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to our report of the word of the day, grammarian, from our president, Victoria James.
Thank you, John. Well, as for the word of the day, we did pretty good. I heard it from Kate, Trudy, Sandra, got a couple in there, Jack, Kathy, Pat. And for the record, I think that there were a few more that I missed because I was also trying to keep track of some of the language usage. But I want to say for the record that John cheated with an apostrophe. So is that extra or do I take away points for that? I don't know. I think I'm going to call it a wash. John, you used the word burnish 3 times in a row is what I'm trying to say. It's not going to
What
stand
I'm
up in
trying to
court.
say is I use Pat Caslin's. I wanted to make it impactful. It was the
Fair.
device that I was using.
Fair. Okay. Starting with the theme of less is more. I love the idea. I love that you just said it and it kind of worked its magic. Well, at least it worked a little bit of magic on me. I neglected to say that I was going to be keeping track of crutch words and eloquent use of the language as well. As for Mike's speech, let's see. I love the way you showed and didn't tell when it came to things like there were 24 pairs of eyes on me, sends a chill up my back. I love that. I could feel that. These stories were so relatable. They're supposed to read the manual. Like, of course. Love it. As you know, men don't cry. That sounds like the introduction to a poem that I need to write. Brilliant. I really, really respect the writing. Good job. Sandra, you are a great writer. I've listened to you read from your book, and I feel confident in saying that you are a great writer. The opening with a negative caught me. You know, you've got to weigh the pros and cons of the negative. You did stop me in my tracks with war and bully. It's like, ooh, she's got something to say. So you got to think about that. What I do want to push you to do is scour the written speech for tired phrases, cliches. Just some of the things you said fell a little flat for me, like refuse to let the world define him. It's like just so common in the current speech that we hear these things. So just do a scrub and see what you can find. I know you have it in you. You said you do it when you talk about the cadence, the dots, the dashes, like a dance, the dits, the dots. I can see it. I can see the music. I want to see more of this. Again, show, don't tell. So you're talking about, you literally said the conditions were brutal, the prison was cold. Show me that. Make me feel that with your words and know you can do this. Then there was one point of confusion with jail or sale. Was it jail or enlist or jail or sale? I didn't understand that. So take a look at that. Table topics, so clever, nursery rhymes. I loved, we got to the language of the courtroom. Everybody just went right into position. And Jack, thank you for making everybody look so good. You made everybody look so funny. I love the image of Humpty boiling the Humpty. I fell off my chair when I heard that. Humpty is trespassing for the clothes. Beautiful. Didn't pick up on crutch words. You guys are pros. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Time for my report. There's not much time and so much has been covered. I just wanted to say that I thought our incoming president, our new president, did an excellent job. I know all the work that was involved leading up to the meeting. And what a beautiful, respectful, paying homage to Vicky Trabash, and then also recognizing those in the club that have influenced her. She was honest about saying, upon given the opportunity, hell no, and then she reconsidered. We've all been there, you know, more rational minds, or she was open to the possibility. So I think that's a lesson for all of us. Something might not sound appealing, but think it through, and particularly when you're a group of people that have your best interests in mind. Perhaps you don't think you can do it, but you can. That's a familiar theme. I also was happy to see the guest come back, that we provided value to them. Marina, I remember you well, and Maureen, it's always great to see you. And while Ruby is a member, she did come back, feels like a guest, and I think it's this notion that you can always come back home. She was a very active member of MOE. She represented us in a speech contest. She's missed, and all these years later, she's come back. So it's great to see that. Quality evaluations. Brad's evaluation, I think half of it was focused on areas for improvement. And I'm left with this impression that many of us are advanced Toastmasters and speakers, and we're trying to get that little extra out. It isn't always about content, but it's about delivery. Or as Pat would say, you know, a foundational phrase, an impactful thing. I sometimes watch TD Jakes. He's a famous pastor down in Dallas. Not because I'm a believer, I'm not a believer. The gift of language and how whatever the thoughts might be are brought to life by the delivery, the cadence, the passion. And so I saw that exhibited here. Finally, I want to tell Jack, when I heard nursery rhymes, I'm not very keen on nursery rhymes, and I haven't had a panic attack in 20 years, but always at MOE, I think I'm on the brink. Nursery rhymes, what am I going to do with that? And the responses were so creative. Brad Stauffer, he's an improv guy. It gives me license and belief that, John, even though the answer's not there, breathe, press forward, and the truth or the response will appear. So thank you for that great question it brought out. And I think it's in those moments that we really develop ourselves as evaluators and go perhaps, Pat, deeper in recognition that we can all relate to these questions and relate to what this club is about, which is elevating and making our speeches and our presence in this world more impactful. So with that, I will turn it back to our Toastmaster, Kate Meaun. Kate?
Thank you, General Evaluator. So, listening and thinking, I think we have achieved our goal for this meeting by elevating and burnishing our evaluation skills. Such an amazing speeches, such an amazing evaluations, such an amazing table topics, responses, and also the snaps. So I would like to wrap up it here. And by our agenda, I should hand over to Sandra or to Victoria. I'm sorry, I'm new in the role.
To Victoria.
Victoria. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster Kate Meaun. Wonderful meeting. Wow. What a great first meeting of my presidency. I mean, I'm so proud of this group of speakers. I feel like I'm not worthy. Thank you, guests, for coming back. I think we've got some great familiar faces. We hope to see you again. And I'd love to just briefly check in with each of you. Cheryl, what value did this club bring to you today?
Thanks for having me. You guys are like so far up, I can't even imagine, but I felt intimidated a little bit. But then I felt, you know what? That's good. I need to be intimidated because it's going to make me grow. And I will come back because I want to grow. I want to be like Pat. Oh my gosh, what an excellent evaluation. I want him to write some notes for me so I can figure out what I need to do when I do evaluations. But this is a great club, and I am so happy that you guys allowed me to be here today.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. And we'd love to have you as a member of the club. And if you join, I referred in my introduction to the Pat Casson famous checklist. So we might have something for you. So we'd love for you to stay after a little while and talk about membership if you have time. Prince, could you come off mute and let us know what value this meeting had for you today?
Oh, this meeting has been one of the better ones that I have attended, in that I could learn so much about mentorship from Kevin, and so much more about the various approaches that one could have as an attorney. Choosing whom to represent is one. I already had difficulty choosing whom I was going to represent, leave alone what arguments I was going to put forward, and I would have lost any case in any court. So thank you very much for leaving me on the sidelines. And I unfortunately cannot put my camera on because it's shot. I'm waiting for something better to turn up. I have ordered it. The second I get it, I'll show my face, and you'll be sorry for that.
Oh, we look forward to it. Thank you, Prince.
Back to you.
Thank you. Maureen, could you come off camera, or if not, can you just chip in and let us know what value this meeting had for you today? Oh, Maureen might have stepped away. Arena, can you let us know what value this meeting had for you today?
Unfortunately, I need to turn off the camera because something strange happened to my internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It seems very weak. Today, I would say a big value of this meeting was a table topic session. I've never seen a table topics like that. It was so creative and a bit difficult, but it was something new and interesting. Yeah, that's all from me.
Thank you so much, Arena. Well, with that, I just want to thank everybody again. Wonderful, wonderful meeting. And Jack, really and truly, that was just an amazing experience. You're just a wonderful MC, and I hope we get to do this again sometime.